Welcome to Soul, a weekly entertainment show on fashion, arts and culture, food, relationships, and mental health. Our weekly co-hosts are Dr. Delvena Thomas, Imani Warren, and Chef Irie. Now introducing our host, Miss Nicky Gelin.
Hey, happy Hump Wednesday. So I'm your host. I am Nicky G. Nicky says you only live once. And welcome to another episode of MIA Magazine Presents So this show is brought to you by the Florida Lottery and Duke and Dame. Now, y'all, so I'm a micro-influencer and I like to help out small businesses and to the best way I can. And I had the opportunity to partner with Key to MIA. Now, Key to MIA, they do tours. So it's a curated tour, and they guide you through these historical neighborhoods right here within South Florida. So I did a tour in Little Havana, and here's a video of how it went down. I'm a local, but I'm always looking for like local things to do. So how can we find you? Like, how can we find local things to do down here? So super excited. I'm actually doing a tour in Little Havana, which I've been here for 30 years and I've never done this before. So thank you, Kimaya. And just a little background. So Kimaya was one of our featured guests back in 2022, and she is the founder of Key to MIA. So again, she does curate these special tours within South Florida. And I want to point out that in Little Havana, I was able to visit the Futurama art galleries where I had the Cuban coffee. I was also able to taste the Abuela Maria. So apparently the Abuela Maria, it's a really famous guava flavored ice cream. And we went to a Zucar ice cream as well. And also we ended the tour at Ball and Chain Miami. That was my first time at Ball and Chain. I've heard about it, and the food was phenomenal. So again, if you want to have a really great local experience, visit your tour with Key to MIA. And the next tour I'll be doing is the Melanin Tour. So we're going to be touring the historical Black neighborhoods within South Florida. So again, visit Key to MIA to book your local guided curated tour. Now, again, being a micro-influencer, there is a workshop happening this Saturday at Vision House in Wynwood. So myself, along with a few other creators in the industry, they're going to be holding workshops to help yourself if you have any questions with social media postings, with Canva, with photography. We're going to be holding these workshops to answer your questions and to help enhance your brand, your page, your website, and so forth. Now, Creators Connect is brought to you by The Perfect Occasion and also the Content Creators Party. There's going to be special drinks. There's going to be food. It's going to be good vibes, just networking, socializing, and learning at the same time. So you can visit my page, Nicky Says YOLO, or also you can visit the Content Creators Party as well. Now, we have a special guest tonight. I'm super excited. So she is Najja Moon, and she is a Miami-based artist and cultural practitioner where her art focuses on cultural responsibility and community. So we're going to be speaking to her in about the next 15 minutes. So stick to your couches, your bed, your chairs. Don't move. Now, on to my first co-host. She's our board-certified psychiatrist and also the founder of the Brain Love podcast. So Dr. Alma, also known as Dr. Delvena, happy Hump Wednesday. How's it going?
Hey, Nicky, it's busy, but it's going. Happy Hump Wednesday. Are you ready to take the couch?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Good, great. So I thought we would discuss something that's rarely discussed when it comes to relationships. And I think this is why so many people struggle in relationships. And that's something, our boundaries.
Yes.
How to discuss boundaries. Now, I'm not talking about physical boundaries, like someone getting too close or someone being in your space. I'm talking about mental boundaries. And, you and I were just talking, the group of us, we were just talking before we went live. And I liked what you said. You said, mind your mental boundaries. And that's what we have to do. We have to learn how to do that, because it's not something that's like innate to you. You won't necessarily be born knowing how to do this. People learn how to manage in relationships through experiences and also through what they see in their own household. So, in learning these things and learning about relationships and how to create and maintain and have a very loving relationship, having boundaries in the very beginning, that is essential. So, what do we mean by mental boundaries or emotional boundaries? And what are some violations that people experience? Nick, can you think of a time when you think maybe you're on the couch, girl. You're on the couch.
Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Can you recall a time, and you don't have to openly share it, but think back to, some of your relationships. And these are probably the relationships that weren't the best relationships, right? Because usually, and maybe it wasn't a serious relationship. It could have just been someone you were getting acquainted with, someone you were dating. That's sort of kind of a relationship. It's an informal relationship and you're seeing where it'll go. You may have cut it off because that person didn't mind your mental boundaries. Can you think of a time when that might have happened?
Of course I can. Yeah. Well, for me, as far as I think there's a phase, or there has to be a certain part in the relationship for you to understand each other. So I think it depends on what phase of the relationship that you're in. So in the beginning, you're getting to know each other and you don't really understand each other. But I think as it progresses over time, maybe within 4 to 5 or 6 months, then you have a chance to get to know who that person is. So to ask you back with that question, are you asking up front initially when you first meet the person, or as you get to know each other throughout the dating process and the relationship?
It could be any part of the dating process. It could be in the beginning. It could be because hopefully people are learning what these mental boundaries are and they're cutting folks off. So it's not 10 years into the relationship, because unless a person seeks psychotherapy or some form of intervention, a formal intervention, they may not know that they even do this. And oftentimes people who have been violated don't realize they've been violated. And so that's why I post a picture so people can think about this and wonder, have I had my boundaries violated? Think about a time that you had a relationship that was unbecoming, or one where there was a lot of arguing, or one where the arguing would escalate to name calling, or maybe profanity was included, or saying something to hurt you. Those are obvious, overt ways of violating another person's boundaries. But people, they violate our boundaries by not taking responsibility for their transgressions, for blaming other people, not wanting to be responsible for the things that they do, and always pointing the finger at someone else. Those are just some main ways that boundaries are violated emotionally. But boundaries can be violated not just in personal relationships, but also on the job. Maybe you have a supervisor who's always dumping on you, asking you to do things because they know that you're the doer. They know that you're the person that gets things done, and the whiner in the corner who's inept and is not a good multitasker, they don't give them responsibility because they always let the supervisor down. So they come to you instead. So that's a violation of your boundaries. So not being able to say no is a person who is not able to hold and maintain boundaries. We got to know how to say no, but you have to know too when your boundaries are being violated.
Yeah. And it's kind of complicated because it goes to friendships as well.
Yes.
And for me personally, it's a challenge because there are times where I want to say no and speak up, but then there is apprehension of offending the other person, or the other person not understanding my boundaries, and then it's going to cause a conflict. It's going to cause that relationship to end. So it's communication too is a big part of it, but for me,
Bingo. Yeah, that was a point I wanted to make before we close this out. What you're describing is what we call agreeable traits. You're that person who is agreeable and is quiet and may not speak up necessarily all the time because you don't want to ruffle feathers. You don't want to displease someone. And so agreeable traits can lead to violations of your emotional boundaries. And obviously there's a spectrum of that, right? There's people who speak up too much and have no filter. And then there's the people on the other side who never say anything, who eventually become tapped out. And sometimes when they're so tapped out, yeah, I just saw that comment too. Sometimes when they're so tapped out, there's despair comes in. So we want to be careful in being agreeable to everything, because that can lead to stress, feeling overwhelmed, despair, sometimes anxiety, and sometimes people actually become suicidal. And I'm talking about, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so talking about these things that are sort of preliminary type discussions, it's important, because these are the types of discussions that help to prevent something becoming a bigger snowball, if you know what I mean. So that's why it's important to talk about it.
Yeah, you're so right. At the same time, I feel as if you say no, then you're not being compassionate. So at what point are you not, at what point should you not like give two Fs or care about saying no?
At the point when you don't want to do something, no has power. And people who don't know, it's such a small word, but it packs such a punch. It has such an impact. Being able to say no is, in a lot of cases, can be a lifesaver for people. You got to be able to say no. And saying no to someone, the person who's on the receiving end of that no, they're saying to themselves, damn, I can't believe she told me no.
Yeah.
But that's right, I told your ass no. And oh, no. And it doesn't have to be like that. You can just say, I would like to do it, but I'm unable to, unfortunately, I can't help you out this time, depending on what the relationship is. But being able to say no is powerful. So to respect our boundaries, we have to know that laying down limits, it's imperative. You got to be able to lay down those limits. And if you can't do it, you got to look deep inside yourself and ask yourself, why am I struggling with this? Why has this become a hurdle for me that I can't get over? So you have to ask yourself that, because when you don't set boundaries, resentment will and shall set in. I guarantee you will begin to feel resentful about another person or about the person you're involved in, whatever relationship it is, whether it's a friend, family member, whatever. But I think I've gone over on my time, so I don't want to keep you guys. But remember, guys, hold the line, respect your own boundaries.
So Dr. Ama, so Michelle says that being too agreeable results in a lot of unwarranted stress. Facts.
Yes. Target sign there, 100. Agreed. Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. So Dr. Ama, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Say brain love.
Brain love. And now on to my next co-host. She knows everything that's happening right here within South Florida as far as arts and culture, concerts, entertainment, everything. So Imani Latifa, happy Hump Wednesday. I was about to call you.
You just give me too much credit. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Yeah. I actually had, there's a new documentary coming out, and I should have shared this with you earlier. It is about this young rapper. I'm trying to pull up the picture really quickly, and it's coming to Hulu. Actually, they're going to probably do a small event here, and I'll let you know about it. But it's called Look at Me. It's kind of a controversial documentary about XXXTentacion. Are you familiar with him?
Oh, I am, yeah.
Yeah, so they're having a little premiere documentary about it. So they kind of reached out, so we have to go check this out.
Oh, yes, yes.
But it's coming to Hulu May 26th, but there'll be a private premiere to talk about the controversy in his life. This young man was from South Florida, and he lived a life really fast. So it's unfortunate, but we've got to talk about these things. So I think that was cool. And shout out to Dr. D, who's always dropping them jewels. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
So yes. So my darling Nicky, I knew a girl named Nicky. I have my top 5 lists of things that I'm trying to do in the next week. So for any of you guys who are watching, if you want to participate, here is my list. So number 1, Robert Glasper is coming, y'all. Okay. Robert Glasper is coming with Bilal to the Arch Center, the Blue Note out in New York. They always do these amazing shows. So he'll be coming April 30th to the center. Get your tickets. I think there are like still some left. So I'm definitely trying to be in the house for that. Also, my number 2 is you got to visit local, do local stuff. History of Miami has an ongoing exhibit dedicated to Afro-Cuban, Afro-Colombian, Trinidad culture, always talking about the highlights of spirituality. It's right in their folk section. So I think people, when you get an opportunity, please visit the History of Miami Museum, especially if you are a mom or a dad, family that homeschools. Those are excellent trips for, our young people to do that. There's another museum, the Haitian Heritage Museum is now open. They're open from Tuesday to Friday, and you can visit them from 10 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock. It's $10 for adults and $7 for young folks. Another top, this is number 4 on my list, is the police precinct, the Black Police Precinct and Museum. If you've never been there, they're in Overtown. You definitely need to check them out. So these are some of the Black places and spaces that we need to occupy. And this is my top 5 right here. And I've got to mention this. There is a museum called the Spadi Museum. Have you ever heard of that?
The Spadi Museum.
Spadi Museum. Spadi Museum is way in Delray Beach. But they have an African-American where you get on a trolley and you take a ride back to the 1940s and 50s. And then there's some exhibitions where you go back to 100 years. So there was a group of African-Americans who came to this town called like Color Town, and you can actually visit like an old school, see what they use. You can actually visit like some of the old buildings that had some of the historic 1950s things. And this is talking about Black commerce, an excellent thing. So I'm definitely going up there to do that tour. Because I think it's important, and I'm going to come back with a video of that. But, Delray, I think it's about an hour outside of town, but it's still considered South Florida and a beautiful area. So if you need something to do, family friendly, the Spadi Museum, check it out. It's online, but it's dedicated to African-American history and culture up in that area. We need that. And so I have 2 more honorable mentions. The Cuban Museum is about to reopen, and they have some new exhibitions coming as of May 14th. And of course, the oldest school in Broward County is called the Old Dobby School. I hope I'm saying it correctly. And so they're the oldest school where you can see like a classroom from the 20th century from like 1906. So I think it's like really amazing. Like the oldest school, I want to see that. So that is my report right there. I'm hoping that I can have more video and content next week. But as for now, that is it, my darling.
No, that's awesome. Like the Delray one sounds like super interesting.
Yes. I'm really looking forward to that because you go on a trolley ride and then it takes you to different stops. And they have like a whole thing where, I'm like fascinated with history, especially anything that Black people were doing back in the day. And so I don't want to give it away. I want to kind of like go take pictures, do a video. I was like, let me just wait till next week. So I'm definitely hitting it up probably Monday or Tuesday when they're, open. So yeah.
Okay. And is it permanent or is it like temporary? The actual.
They're there. They are there.
Oh, they're there. Okay. Perfect.
The newest exhibition that they have is called Strong Communities Emerging. And thanks for asking me that. So it highlights how African-Americans came from the Bahamas, South Carolina, Georgia, as we know, Trinidad, Haiti, of course, Jamaica, to these areas, that particular area in Delray. So, got to keep on digging for the history and find out where Black people are. Yeah. So
I am there. Okay.
So check it out. Yeah.
Well, thanks for dropping those events happening and coming up, and love your top. I mean, you wanna kind of show us a little bit your sleeves a little bit because it's kind of like you can't really see it, so you might want to These
Yeah.
right here. Okay. Well, thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Peace and blessings. Thank you.
Peace and blessings. And now on to our featured guest. She is a Miami-based artist, and she's actually from, I believe, South Carolina. So Najja Moon, thank you so much for being our guest tonight. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but you live in Miami.
I'm from North Carolina.
Oh, see, I was close. I was close.
Real close.
Well, thanks for being our guest tonight. How's your Wednesday going?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me here. And I've been in Miami for 13 years now. So
you're native.
I claim it too.
Okay, yeah, you're a native. Okay, so tell us a bit about your background.
Yeah, I'm originally from North Carolina, like you said, and I'm an artist. I moved here after college, just kind of looking for a new landscape, and haven't left. I love it here.
Okay. So when did you fall in love with art? Or what inspired this journey that you're on?
Yeah, I'm really grateful that I have two parents who are musicians. So that kind of typical story of, don't be an artist, that's crazy. I didn't have that. I had two artists as parents who encouraged everything that I wanted to do, which has been a lot of different things. I'm happy that I've kind of landed in a lane now. But yeah, they're a big part of my inspiration, is just wanting to build community in similar ways that they have and make people feel something.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you grew up basically like in a free-spirited home. There were musicians, right? So you were able to see the creative side, and it helped like influence who you are today. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So how would you describe your work?
Yeah, I make a lot of different things. But I think what grounds a lot of my work is this mark making that I do, this kind of abstract line drawing. And I've kind of developed several processes for translating them, for lack of a better word. So work a lot with text and poetry, thinking about sculptural objects that could be derived from the drawings that I make. And also thinking about these drawings as something similar to a journaling process for me, to be reflective about my past and kind of uncover new influences and dissect, the things I've been through and ways I can represent that information.
Right. So Aaliyah, can we show some of her pieces? Can you pull that up really quick? So I did visit your page and your website, and if you don't mind, I know there's a few events or experiences that happened in your life as to how these pieces came about. So do you mind sharing that with the audience?
Sure. Let's see what we're working with.
Okay. And Aaliyah, let's go ahead and pull that up. So backstage, we were talking about, I believe it's Portrait at 34. So so here's your website. Yeah. And just kind of walk us through the site and what it represents as far as who you are.
Yeah, so this image here is me kind of sitting in this structure that I made. And as I mentioned, I make these line drawings. And so this is kind of me taking those line drawings, extruding them, making them three-dimensional, and recollaging them in a formation. And so I've been thinking a lot about how my mark making could be directions for movement, or is representing gestures of the body. So, that's why it was like, let me sit in this and see what these marks maybe are telling me to do. This first image here is an image of me outside of Portrait at 34, which is the project that I'm working on with Miami. So April is National Poetry Month. Miami is an organization that aims to kind of take a month and make sure that every single person in Miami-Dade County encounters a poem in some form or fashion. And so this is my project this year, where I've built this photo booth that prints age-specific portrait poems. And it's inspired by a poem that my cousin Haitian Moon wrote in her first book. She passed last year, and I wanted to take this opportunity of National Poetry Month to kind of honor her legacy, her work, and just her energy.
Right. So what have the feedback been like with Portrait of at 34? Like I saw there were a few submissions that you're working on. So
it's been truly incredible. I'm beyond grateful for the way folks that have responded. The age poems are open sourced. We, like you said, we had an open call, and I received over 300 submissions from people writing portrait poems from ages 1 to 100. And that's been incredibly moving to see how folks are connecting with the prompt, but more so connecting with my cousin and her work. And, you know, that was the goal, is to see how can I contribute to her legacy.
Wow. So as far as the submissions, how can we see that, or where will those submissions live?
So I've been traveling around the city throughout the month, taking the photo booth places. We went to Pam for Family Day. I was at a high school down south, and the last pop-up will be on the 29th at the Underline. So if folks are available to come, I believe I'll be there starting at 7 p.m. And there's also going to be another performance by Huge Songs, another incredible organization that's been commissioned to do something for Poetry Month.
Wow. Okay. And where can we find this? On your website, on your Instagram page?
I need to be better about updating my website, but I will definitely share on Instagram. I will. Thank you for holding me accountable.
Okay. I think I just called you out. Okay. So as far as you being like an artist, what message do you want to convey to just the world? Like, what do you want to tell the world about who you are and your message?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, making art is a personal exercise for me, and being honest about my experiences, about the way that I move through the world as a Black queer woman. How are the ways that this impacts my life, and am I spending time reflecting on my experience? And this is the way that I do that therapy, if you will.
Wow.
And I think what's exciting about the ways that connects with other people is that other people have similar experiences. And so it functions as an opportunity to connect, to build community, and to open platforms for other folks to do the same.
Yeah. And especially with the over 300 submissions, like people were able to relate to that. It's about relatability.
Yeah.
And taking that voice, and again, building community. So you're able to get all of these people together to voice their experiences through this poem. So they're poems basically, right? That's what it is. So
Yeah.
it's a collective. It's a collective of different experiences and voices. And that's
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you tell your younger self, and how old would you be?
Yeah. So this was the question that I was like, oh man, this is good. I don't know. I think maybe when I was 27, I needed to hear trust yourself. I think that, and it's interesting in the conversation that you were having earlier with your co-host about agreeability. I think that for me, I have sacrificed my own vision or my own convictions in an effort to be agreeable, or to do what I thought meant working collectively. And what I needed to hear was trust yourself. So yeah.
Well, you said when you were 27. I mean, you look like you're like 20 right now. So I'm like, what?
35, baby. I'm 35.
Hey, okay. No, I don't see 35. Not saying 35 is old, but you look like at least 20, 21. So, okay.
I'll take it.
So Michelle says, really awesome, Najja Moon. Looking forward to seeing and hearing more from you. So that's one of our viewers viewing live on Facebook.
Thank you so
right
much.
now. Yeah. Well, wow. Well, thank you so much. I do want to definitely check out, Portrait at 35. And I read what you wrote about, your cousin and how much she meant to you. I was on your page and everything. So it's just great what you're doing, bringing people together and just voicing, their feelings and their experiences on paper. So thanks for doing that. And with the lines, I think that's so unique. I've never heard of that before. And that's very unique that you have this vision, and it's about lines and being abstract with lines, and it's so creative. So thank you for that. And thanks to your parents for allowing be yourself, be free, and not like saying, oh no, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a nurse, you have to be an attorney. So they are supportive in your journey. So I applaud them for that as well. So
thank you so
much. Yes, and we'll see you on the gram. Hopefully it's updated by the time we visit.
You got it.
All right, enjoy your night. Thank you. And y'all, I do want to mention that Dinner with Chef Irie, it's going down on the 24th. It's this Sunday. So visit I Am Chef Irie to cop your tickets. Again, it's going down on Sunday, Dinner with Chef Irie. And tomorrow is Lunch with Legacy Leaders with Anne-Marie Sorrell at 12 p.m. And also Flavors of South Florida with Chef Irie. So visit MIA Media GRP to watch live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night.